Well, here we are again, the English couple. Welcome to the channel in the kitchen.
Again, in the kitchen.
But we thought we'd do something slightly different than just sit there and drink cups of coffee today.
Quite.
We're going to cook up some soup. It's actually, we're filming this on Halloween, and I guess it will go out in Halloween. But we're not going to cook a pumpkin soup.
No, I mean, that'd be the obvious thing, wouldn't it?
And I don't like pumpkin soup much.
No.
I'm not a great fan of pumpkin flavour. I like pumpkin seeds.
It's better if it's just added to a stew and stuff. That's when I like it the most, when it's with all the other flavours.
Exactly. So we are going to make, as the thumbnail showed, tomato and basil soup. Now, it seems that there's lots of different ways of making tomato and basil soup or tomato
As with
soup.
anything, there's loads of different ways.
Absolutely. So, we're just going to do our way, which is actually...
Throw it together and see how it comes out.
And whilst we do that, it's not really a cooking show, although you'll see us doing it.
No, it's not a recipe show. It's,
No, exactly. We thought we'd talk about couples and those, what do we call it?
Seasonal festivities is what we decided to call them.
Yes.
What is
so
the actual
things
term?
like Halloween, bonfire night, Christmas, Easter, you know, those sort of things, and how that affects families and couples and that sort of thing. And what do you do? And does somebody say, get out of my kitchen, I'm taking over? Like at Christmas, you might get one who wants to cook the turkey. Mm-hmm. Or is it that people have all hands to the pump and say, well, I want you to do the stuffing, you're going to do the turkey, and you're going to do the Brussels sprouts. Do you like Brussels sprouts?
No.
No. I love them.
No. I'll cook them.
You'll cook them?
I won't eat them.
So anyway, we'll...
Although I might vacate the house afterwards because they're famous for
the
flatulence.
Gas, the lovely gassy
they produce.
smells. Great. So Julia, now listen, we have already what would you call it? Half cooked?
Fried.
Fried, yes.
Tomatoes. Half fried.
Half fried, that was the word, yeah. Half fried, just to make them, looser?
Yeah, just to loosen them, like you say.
Like you say.
Like you say.
Yes, nobody wants a loose... Anyway, that's that. We've also got some onion and...
Yellow pepper.
And yellow pepper, or orange
it's
pepper.
Just
bell pepper.
Bell pepper.
Would you call that yellow pepper then?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yellow.
Well, it's an orangey yellow,
It's an
yellowy
orangey
orangey,
yellow.
much for muchness.
No. Ask Joe, he says red.
Yes.
He
He's confused about that at the minute.
So we've already sort of softened these up by frying them as well, because otherwise we'll be just running over. And the other thing is, we were aware, as we were going to be talking, if we cut onions, we're just going to be sobbing in front of you. So we've done that.
Yeah.
We've done the sobbing.
And redone our makeups.
And we've done our yes, my makeup took for bloody ever as ever.
I know.
So what are we going to do? We're going to chop these down a bit more?
Yes, or we can mash them. They might mash.
Oh, you didn't tell me that beforehand. I was just going to chop them in half and then dump them in there and then maybe zizz it at the end.
That's even easier.
Just a light zizz.
No point making more work for ourselves.
No, exactly. So what we need to do is if I pass them to you and you chop, and then you could dump in there.
Straight in there. Let's move
We've
that out of the way.
got some stock as well, which is... we looked at one recipe and they said use a bit of chicken stock. So it's not vegetarian, this recipe, by any means.
Although there's no reason we couldn't have just used a vegetable stock.
You could use vegetable stock, yeah, exactly. And I guess you can use anything.
Oops.
So when it comes to festivities and that sort of thing, if you weren't doing this with me, I guess if you've got children, you're trying to mark that out with your pumpkins and you're getting everybody involved.
That's right. We, my mother and I took my children to the pumpkin patch, one of the pumpkin patches over in Titchfield, which was lovely. And they helped choose some pumpkins. The youngest, we saw some small red-coloured pumpkins, not bright red, but, kind of, I suppose tomatoey red, and that confused me because I'd never seen red pumpkin before.
Oh right, so they were like giant tomatoes.
Yeah. So I was marvelling over them. So he was going around pointing at all the pumpkins, going red. No, that's an orange one. No, never mind. So he seems to be a bit confused about that.
Well, and the thing is, when you've got kids, I think it changes the whole dynamic of the event, doesn't it?
Because of any event, especially Christmas, I find.
Yes, absolutely, because Christmas is because if you don't have children, you can very much become a bit of a bar humbug.
What's the point?
What's the point? Yeah. Because you're on your own. You might have a mince pie and a bit of brandy, butter in something. You might have all the victuals and enjoy some of that. But if you're just on your own, you can easily get a bit, well, everybody else is enjoying themselves. Now,
a bit how you were getting before we kind of...
well, my kids are grown up, so you've done all of that, you know, and you've had the fun with the kids, and then they go and they're having their own life, and they're saying, Dad, we're going to have Christmas Day with the family, with their family, their children, like my eldest would say, yeah, maybe come on Boxing Day. And you go, okay, so I'll just sit around. And of course, in a relationship, and you'll get this when you finally, you know, live in different house from your ex, is that, you know, they may want them one year and you may want them another year.
Well, that's what we always used to try to do, not separately, but together we would try to take them 1 year to my parents and next year to his parents. It didn't always work out that way, but...
No, and I guess it depends on distances and a whole load of things. And but when you no longer have those kids, or they're doing their own thing, and you're all before you have kids, I suppose that's the other thing, isn't it? It's just about you and your partner, which is very nice because you can all be very lovey-dovey and have a more romantic, if you make the effort, as I know many people don't make the effort, they just go, oh, it's just another day, which is very sad, really, because life is tough enough, and if you can make something of it. I always think that with...
It's making the small moments matter, isn't it?
Yeah, you haven't got to go over the top. I mean, just cooking a meal together, we find... No matter what day of the week, we did it last night. What did we have last night? You
lasagna.
Cooked lasagna. Now, admittedly,
you were my sous chef last night.
Yeah, you did most of it, and I was just learning how you do it because every time I've done a lasagna, it's turned out where the pasta is not cooked and it's all hard-boiled.
Wasn't my best last night. Again,
it was delicious,
but,
though.
Occasionally, I do a really spot-on lasagna.
It's that. What do you call the sauce?
Bechamel.
Bechamel.
I don't know how that's pronounced properly, but I say bechamel.
Now, in here, we are getting the aroma of basil, and fresh basil is so much nicer, isn't it? Because you just get all that, you know, cooking with food, real food, even though you can do something very simple like a tomato soup, you could get it in a tin, and I know a lot of people, perhaps living on their own, would just go, I'll just get a tin. But what you don't get is all of this, the smell of the individual products.
Mr. Faulty has a very lovely aroma, don't you think?
I think Mr. Faulty really does. It's like...
Basil! Over there.
Excellent. So we just... Now...
I think that'll be enough.
Yeah. Now, I was just wondering, do we put the basil in at the early stage? Because we're going to give it a bit of a zizz. Or it may not need the zizz. We could just...
When he says zizz, he means a liquidization process.
Yeah, what else would it be?
Well... I don't know. I say zhuzh.
Oh, zhuzh.
You say ziz.
Oh, ziz.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what to
Ziz,
say. We know what you mean.
Yeah. So we're just going to really mix all of this lot up, aren't we?
Yeah.
Bung in all of these ingredients, and there should be plenty. And then I have got some bread that I cooked the other day. I'm running out, actually, but we can have a slice of bread, and you can sit down and have a meal. And I just think as a romantic thing, not that, you know, the English couple is all about romance and things like that, but it's just that sort of bringing people together. And the other thing, the smell of that is so lovely. The other thing is, if you do have children, I think it's so great. Now, I confess, when I was married and my kids were young, and you're young and you've got so much to do, and you're running in, you come out from work and all that, it's not the easiest thing. But on festival occasions like that, to have the family around the table and eating with the electronics off and away from the table, so you can enjoy the food and you can just have a conversation, I think is the most important thing. Should I pour that in? I've already done it. Oh, I poured some on the table.
That's all right. If you don't want it, just pour it on the table.
So that's... Now, we will move over to the Essie because we are cooking in my kitchen. And while I do have a little...
Induction hob or...
An immersion hub.
Yes, immersion hob.
Immersion hob.
Immersion hub is what you used to call it.
Oh, yeah. It's an induction hob, isn't it?
That's it.
So
I think we said it right the first time, didn't we?
I'm so used to
That's
getting
not
that wrong.
right.
Anyway, one of those things that you can just heat up, but it makes a loud noise. And I made a special thing because we're filming in the morning, which I wouldn't normally like the Essie in the morning unless it's really, really cold.
No, it's rather...
And we've had such a mild...
day?
Well,
a couple of weeks.
Yeah, this time of year. October has been really mild. And you come up to this time, it's usually very cold, Halloween. and people are all dressing up to do their trick or treats and all of that. I don't know if you're going to be doing that this evening. I'm afraid I don't open the door to trick or treaters.
No, most people won't bother knocking on the door unless there's some sort of evidence on the door that you are celebrating the
Yes.
day. So I made that mistake the first time I moved into my own home. I put some decorations in the front window, and then all
Everyone's
night,
coming.
every 2 minutes, there was a knock at the door. I was like, oh no! So I learned the next year, like, window shut.
I think if you know
Got my own
people-
home, I just want to be left alone at the moment.
If you know the people in the street and you know they've got kids and you've got some sort of relationship with them, I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely, it can be a great sense of community.
And you can hand out the sweets. Where I live, it's on there's lots of flats in some of the terraced houses. People come
Busy
and go all the
road.
time. It's a busy road. You never quite know who's going to be knocking on the door. We do, because it's on the edge of the town, you often get a lot of drunks coming back from the pubs. And when you open the door at night and it's dark, you just don't know who you're opening the door to. In this day and age, and you're on your own, you open the door because someone's knocked at the front door, you don't know who's coming in the back because they've distracted you. So, I'm a little bit cautious about all these things. Especially being on the internet, you are opening yourself up to...
A little bit more exposed, aren't you?
Exactly.
That'll have to do that.
That's
Top
perfect. That
a
looks-
relatively blunt knife.
I'm sorry about my relatives. They are blunt. And they get to the point. There we go. So
Oh,
we've
that's
got-
where you get it from.
I've got to get it from somewhere. Oh, now, also, just to add, I've got some crushed garlic in this tube because I've thought it might be better than that. And we've got some tomato puree. Do you reckon we should shove these in?
Yeah, let's shove a bit of the puree in, especially.
How much?
Yeah, about that.
About that much. There we go. That's pretty much the rest of the packet, but there's a little bit left. And
About, what was it, 3 or 4 cloves, was it?
yeah, a wardrobe full of those.
What?
Nice and squirty.
That'll do. You know, a bit
So,
more. we like
will.
garlic.
We're about
Keep
ready
the vampires
now.
off.
Oh yeah, we don't want any vampires on Halloween, after all. By the way, if you are watching this, there's a Halloween story on the channel. Just sort of might as well promote that. Smoke and Bones, it's called. Went out this morning. Keep everybody happy. So we're going to move over to the SE now. So by the magic of editing, we will transfer ourselves there.
Should we do the...
Right, so the SE is going. Here we are. And we have our soup ready to be stirred up. So basically all that's got to do now is just warm up and cook through.
Just need some time.
Absolutely.
But not the herb.
Now, you'd have a thing about Valentine's Day. You're not keen on Valentine's Day.
No, because...
Why is that?
Because I think you should show, appreciation for your partner. Ouch. Every day. I just got bit by the Essie.
The Essie does bite. Sorry about that. And it gets very warm when you're
standing in
actually
front of
standing
it.
very close to it. I don't like the
Lovely though.
commercialism of Valentine's Day, but I think it's quite nice to... Sometimes when you're in a very busy life, people do forget, or they take their partners for granted, and it's one time that one can say, hey, look, let's have a day for us. I know in theory people shouldn't, but over 20 years with the same person, you get into a rut, and sometimes you just forget. I mean, I was married for 14 years, and with kids growing up, it can get to a point where, but I don't like the commercialism. I don't like it when you're forced to spend more money. And so
Because you're doing it at a specific time when everybody's doing it.
And you don't want to be the saddo sitting in a restaurant where there's couple there, couple there, couple there, couple there, and they've all got red rose here in front of them, and they're all sitting there looking as miserable as sin, thinking this is costing an arm and a leg.
To me, it just loses its specialness. Everybody's doing it.
So in the past, I would do things with my partner on those days. I would cook a meal. I mean, we would cook a meal regularly, but we might get rid of the kids, and it may not be on that day. It may be on a better day that works out for us. But we would try and mark it, and we'd give each other cards, but we wouldn't go over the top. Mm-hmm. What would you do?
Well, on the day?
With your partner, would you mark it at all, or just ignore it?
I used to encourage, let's go out the week before or the week after.
Yeah.
And on the day, just, I don't know.
It's just one of those sort of slightly orchestrated festivals because it doesn't really come from, like Christmas and Easter.
It doesn't feel like it's quite from the heart.
Whereas, but then, you know, Easter's just a religious festival, isn't it? And some people don't believe in all of that, but they get suckered into the chocolate eggs.
The commercialism.
And again, you know, I don't really understand what the eggs have got to do with nailing a man to the cross. Not nailing him. Is that when he was nailed on the cross?
No, that's when he rose.
Oh, that was when he rose from the grave.
It used to confuse me as a kid that he would die at Christmas. So no, be born at Christmas time and then die.
Didn't have a long life, did he?
Shortly after, and then raise again in Easter.
Yeah.
Of course, I understand a bit now.
When was he nailed on the cross then?
I can't remember.
No. See, we're not really religious. Now, there's an update that we need to give you because in the last episode of The English Couple, you were telling us about your cat that was straying.
Yes.
But you've now worked out that
I've now worked out that it wasn't all my fault, or our fault for having a stressful home. But the gentleman over the road approached me the other day and asked me if I knew about this black and white cat. Turns out he's actually, his cat passed away 7 months ago. And a week after, he started noticing my cat hanging around, looking dejected and what have you. So he started feeding him.
Oh.
And, you know, checked.
And I suppose that's the way to a cat's heart, isn't it? If you
It is. And actually, I need to go back over there and ask him, what have you been feeding my cat? Because he's turning his nose. I wondered why he was turning his nose up at the food. I thought it was just
What,
because...
the food that you give him?
Yeah.
So you're not giving him nice food, you're just giving him horrible old scraps, aren't you?
No, I do.
getting-
Horrible scraps. Scraps are the bit they want.
He's probably getting fragois and
Bits of the fatty bits.
lovely
of
cooked
food.
turkey, and he probably sat down at this bloke's house with a little
With a
bib
napkin,
and,
bow tie,
and all of that.
dinner suit.
But it got a bit more than just him feeding him, because there was this business with the chip.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about fish and chips.
No, because with pets you can get a microchip put into the back of their neck by the vet. And
You've got one, haven't you?
with my neck?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I could make a joke. I haven't had my COVID jab. That is a joke.
That is a joke. Well, I haven't had mine either. But anyway, so a cat has a chip, but you can do something else with it.
Yes, it can be scanned by vets and other rescuers and stuff, and anyone who actually has a scanning machine to find out if it has a microchip, and you'll find out the registered address of the animal.
And the owner and all that, yeah.
Exactly. Ouch.
Oh, sorry.
Splish.
No, I saw that go. I'll do another one.
No, please don't. I like my skin
Yeah, no,
intact.
I like it
Thank
too.
you.
But you can do something else with the chip that I didn't know you could do this.
Yes, there are cat flaps that you could use, that you program in your cat's microchips.
So in other words,
It will only let in your cat and no others. The cat has to pass under the archway.
this is a cat flap. When I had a cat, it was just a board. When I was a kid at home, it was just a piece of plywood that would go like that. But now there are modern things.
Well, there's been lots of different developments on. There's locking mechanisms. So you could lock it from going. They can't get out, but if they do get out, they can come back in.
Oh, right.
I.e., if they slide out an open door or something, they can
Yes.
still get back in, but can't get back out again.
So this is
or
just-
you can lock them from getting out, and if they get in, they can't. Anyway.
Yeah. So this is the latest and the most modern way now that it senses the cat. It basically picks up
it
a
registers
signal.
it scans the microchip and unlocks the door and allows the cat to come through.
And so that's what he was
So
doing.
he's actually, it turns out he seems to have registered my cat on his door on cat flap.
That's outrageous. So that his cat, your cat, can go into his place, get fed, and all of that. Spend the night there if he wants, and then can come and go as if he owns the place. And so you did speak to him. And what's the situation now?
Well, I've essentially
Tell him to bog off.
I've asked him
Leave your
not
cat alone.
to feed my cat
Yes.
because he's a single fella. He's got this whole house to himself, the whole garden. He's got no other pets since his other cat passed away. There's no competition, is there?
No.
The cat's going to choose that over me. It's like, please, don't feed
Well,
my
also,
cat.
it's
because
there's the moral issue. I mean, I don't know whether it's legal or illegal,
it's,
but
it's
a moral.
theft. It's legally
If
theft.
it's
To
nicking
feed
your-
someone else's cat and
It's
tempt them
theft.
away, it's theft.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different if you talk to the owner and say,
Yeah.
do
you mind not doing it?
do you not want the cat anymore? If you don't, then
Yeah.
I'll take it. And I guess that's what he was asking. And the answer is definitely, it's our cat. He's the last gift my eldest, got from his grandfather before he passed away from COVID.
So obviously you don't want. I mean, it's your cat.
Not
it's a
only
member
that,
of the
we're
family.
attached to him.
You wouldn't do
He's
that
our
with your
baby.
kid, would you? So,
No, exactly. That's what I was saying. If my 11-year-old turned up, started hanging out in the alley behind your house, looking dejected and lonely,
Yeah, would
would
you
you
feed
start
him?
feeding him?
If my ex, would you?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Don't be silly.
no. So we're going to move over to there. We're just going to let this do its final little sort of bit of cooking, and then we'll sample up the tomato soup. Let you know whether that's been successful, and if there's any other festivities that we can talk about being a couple. we'll address it back at the table. And by the magic of editing, here we are, back at the desk or the bench
Table.
or the thank you table.
The dinner table.
The dinner table, and we have, what do you call it?
The zhuzh.
Zhuzh. What do I call it? The
Zizzer.
zizzer. So there we are.
Zhuzh, ziz.
We
whatever.
have cooked this. It's nice and hot. We've zizzed it. I'm going to let you pour because being a man with one eye, I often miss because of the
Depth perception.
Yes. We also have some bread and butter to go with it, which, as I mentioned earlier, is homemade bread. And this is our lunch. And it's a very nice lunch. And I know we did a show about cooking, and we talked about cooking in a previous show, did we not?
We did.
That's plenty for me.
Yeah?
Yeah. I can come back. Well, maybe a
Classic
splash
cooking.
more. Go on, a splash. After all, yeah, that's lovely. We're going to see what it's like. Of course, you can add any extra salt and pepper. We did put a bit of salt and pepper into the mix, didn't we?
We did.
And I'm sure that you've got your own recipe. And of course, people will say, "Oh, you should have done this and you should have done that and whatever." And you can leave your comments, and we'll just ignore them.
I've made all sorts of soup before, but never actually made tomato soup.
Tomato.
So this is a new one.
And basil, yeah, it'll be quite hot, so see what you reckon. We'll let you know. If you like us doing some cooking, we'll do more. Ooh,
It's lovely.
that is
It's
nice.
a bit hot for me at the moment.
Is it? Mine was cold. I was thinking, oh, hello. Did I not?
Cold? Mr. Asbestos mouth.
Oh, no. That's nice and hot. Doesn't need any more seasoning at all. I think, clearly, food at seasonal events is the thing that makes it, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean,
Getting together, whether you're two people or a family.
it was, typically in times of old, coming together for festivities, it was all about eating and stuff, wasn't it?
Breaking bread, isn't it? Although I don't want my bread broken, I just want to eat it.
They didn't have bread knives back then.
Oh, I see. That kind of breaking it as opposed to smashing it up and chucking it at your neighbour.
Absolutely not that one.
So, it's soup and bread for us on Halloween. It's an alternative to pumpkin soup. We've loved it, but, sorry,
So you're going to be barricading the door again this evening?
if I don't choke on my own bread.
No, he's secretly going to be going out trick-or-treating up and down the road.
Yeah, if I didn't like the soup, that would be what I would be dishing out to people down at the local soup kitchen. But we'd be interested in different and interesting recipes that you have, if you have them, and what you do at those moments in the diary that come up that you can't avoid, like the Valentine's Day, the Easter and things. Do you get away? Do you have quiet time? Or is it that you just have to have the family there? And would you rather it didn't happen?
Do you get lots of social invites to go out and celebrate these things? Or
Yeah.
do you ignore every one of them?
I know.
In favour of staying home with the cat?
As I've got older, the need to go and look at fireworks, for example, on bonfire night, although fireworks seems to no longer just be limited to one time.
No.
It's like 2 or 3
Almost
weeks.
year round now.
That's waned, and I just prefer to stay in. Although, if it's nice and mild, before it gets dark, a little walk along the seafront with your lover is very nice. Anyway, that's us. We're going to eat our dinner, but thank you so much. We'll be back again with another English couple. Well, not with another English couple, but with...
Another English couple chat,
Yes.
is what you mean,
Yes.
dear one.
Absolutely. And we will see you then. But thanks for watching. Take care and enjoy Halloween.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.